thank you very much for joining us. This is Platform on the network service of the NTA. I'm Ruth Aguele. Today we explore a very critical area in science and technology, space technology. Nigeria has ambitious goals for its future in space, and investing in space technology could have a significant impact on the socio-economic development in the country. However, there are challenges that must be addressed if the nation must develop a thriving space program. Now, this is where the National Space Research and Development Agency comes in. It was established in 1999 with a broad objective to pursue the development and application of space science and technology for the benefit of the nation. Now, its mandate is clearly to make space science and technology application an integral part of the overall strategies for sustainable development. But there are questions seeking answers. With a crop of scientists in Nigeria, why are we yet to launch satellites from a spaceport located in the country? Now, how can we leverage on the advantages of space technology to tackle insecurity in the country? What are the strategies adopted by the agency in advancing Nigeria's space technology, and what is the roadmap in sustaining the drive of Nigeria's space policy? Well, many questions begging for answers. Our focus on Platform today is advancing Nigeria's space technology, the issues and gaps. And my guest is no other person than the Director General, National Space Research and Development Agency, Dr. Halilu Ahmed Shabba. Thank you very much for joining us on Platform.
Thank you, Ruth.
Okay, so let me take you through a bit of his profile. Dr. Halilu Ahmed Shabba was born on 1st October 1966. He began his basic education from Capital School in Sokoto and rounded off his primary education in Kaduna. He attended Rimi College, Kaduna, and Government Secondary School, Rijau. He holds a bachelor's degree in geography from Bayero University in 1988. He has worked with the National Population Commission. He further obtained his master's in technology in remote sensing application in 1993 and a PhD in the same field, all from the Federal University Technology in Minna. He transferred his service from National Population Commission excuse me, in 2001 to Federal University Technology, Minna, and later left to join National Emergency Management Agency in 2006. He joined the National Space Research and Development Agency in 2009. He's a member of Academics of Science, Nigeria Geographic Association, Association of Nigerian Authors, GeoSun, and also a fellow of Nigeria Cartographic Association. He has written 2 novels, Darkness of Doom and Bubble Dreams, and has supervised over 40 master's and postgraduate diploma theses and about 30 undergraduate researches. He has co-supervised over 7 PhD, both in Nigeria, United Kingdom, and Ghana. He has written and co-authored about 35 journals and conferences, articles. He's still lecturing, farming, and a scholar, and was appointed DG NASTER on April 30th, 2020. Thank you once again for joining us, the renowned scientist.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, and of course we have a panel on Platform, and our panelist is Adebola Brooks-Linson, the NTA correspondent. Thank you very much for joining us.
It's nice that I'm on this panel today.
All right, so like I said earlier, we're looking at advancing Nigeria's space technology, the issues and the gaps. Dr. Shabba.
Thank you so much.
So 22 years down the line, let's use a telescope, looking at Nigeria's space technology. Where are we today?
Thank you very much. Since the establishment of National Space Research and Development Agency, the Space Agency produced the first satellite in 2003, which is Nigeria Sat-1. And that Nigeria Sat-1 was our first experience where we look at the heritage and build others. In 2003, the first satellite we built had only one, on its platform, had only one camera on it. If I use the layman's language, we call it payload, but it has only one camera, which is 32 meters resolution. 32 meters resolution is a medium resolution satellite. Going on from there, we now went to build, in 2011, we built the second satellite, which is Nigeria Sat-2. Before then, in 2007, we built the communication satellite and then also established the NICOMSat, that is the communication satellite company. In 2011, based on the experience we had, when we were building the 2011, we did so many things differently, and you could see the advancement and experience. We built that satellite with 32 meters resolution so that scientists will continue their research along the line of 32 meters resolution, which was started 2003. And then we also added on that platform, we added a payload camera, which is 2.5 meters resolution, which is a high resolution imager. And now we also have 5 meters resolution, which is high resolution imager. And Nigeria did not stop on that because there are lots of ways countries go about developing their satellite programs.
Yes.
It's either you are buying a satellite or you are starting from the scratch to build a satellite.
Yeah.
Nigeria looking at it that we don't have all the time, and we want to at least make sure that we are going with other nations in development instead of going by these two models of either buying satellite or starting from the scratch, because starting from scratch will take a longer time, and then building. I mean, buying a satellite will deny your engineers experience and knowledge of how to build satellite. We now kind of dovetail the two. Dovetail the two in the sense that now we put our engineers in the satellite. First satellite we purchased, we put our engineers to be part of the building of that that of satellite, building the satellite, and they were part of the design, the building, and testing of the satellite. Now, which gave us heritage, knowledge, and experience in building satellite. And then when we were building the second satellite, we did the same thing. We put 40 engineers on it, and they were part of building that satellite. Now, we didn't stop there. We felt since these engineers were part of building Nigeria Sat-1, Nigeria Sat-2, and NICOMSat-1, which was built 2007, they should also have their hands dirty in building a satellite. And now they built, under the supervision of our partners, the satellite which we call Nigerian Sat-X. If you look at the name, we have Nigeria Sat-1, Sat-2. We want to build Nigeria Sat-3, Sat-4, Sat-5. You see that this one does not go with the same nomenclature. We call it Nigeria Sat-X, which is an experimental satellite.
What is different about the Nigeria Sat-X? Because I know it was launched last year, yes, fully funded under the
Nigeria Sat-X is an experimental satellite, fully built by Nigerians, okay, under the supervision of our partners in Surrey. And when it was fully built by Nigerians, that shows that Nigeria has a heritage in building its own satellite.
Okay.
So we built that satellite ourselves. Now, the initial thought was we were going to build a satellite. But since it met all the specifications, and Nigeria not being so rich a country that will build a satellite and put in the museum, now we said, okay, let's do one thing again to it. Let's test it. Now that will show, if we said it was built to flight standard, test it. Now we said, okay, let's test that flight standard, put it in orbit. And then it was put in orbit and it's still operational. And I can tell you, it came with a payload, that is the camera, which is 22 meters resolution. And that was the first time in the world that you are putting a satellite of this 22 meters resolution. And our engineers decided that let's try it. So we tried it. So if we had built it and put it in the museum, it's not serving anybody. If we put it in the museum, it was not tested. If we put it in the museum, we cannot say that our engineers have a perfect build. But now we're testing it in the space, we say perfectly, it's working. And I can tell you it is most used than the Nigerian Sat-X due to the knowledge of the scientists who are using the satellite data, because it is better than the medium resolution, which is 32 meters resolution.
And just for clarity's sake, before Adebola comes in, has it been launched?
It was launched together with, that's one thing again we did in 2011. For the first time, Nigeria launched 2 satellites at the same time. Okay. They were all launched at the same time. The satellite you mentioned earlier, though, which was last year or thereabout, was the Nano Satellite. We put somebody we worked with the university because at times universities have, you can go back to the universities and fetch some experience. So we worked with a university in Akure, and then another university, Kiashu, because it's supposed to be a university relationship, and then put an engineer on it, and then we built Nano Satellite, which was between China, Ghana, and Nigeria, and the 3 nano satellites were launched at the same time. If you look at it, the world is going is miniaturizing, and it's becoming a bit lighter. So in the instance that we don't have the money to build a mega satellite, we can put nano satellites for operational purpose for specific reasons. For example, you have something you want to look at in 2 to 3 years, you can put a small satellite there just for this period, and it's a project or a special vehicle, purpose vehicle, so that we tried so that at least Nigerians can leverage on it.
Okay. You call it EduSats at the same time.
Yes.
Can you tell us which institution has been benefiting from this function?
Okay. The university in Akure is benefiting from that. The Federal University of Technology in Akure is benefited from that because we have human development in it, and then also we have the knowledge of ground receiving station that is built with the students, so they are benefiting from it. If you recall, the one built by Ghana was also by a university. Then we have the Kyushu University in Japan. So they all benefited from it. Now what the Europe is doing is trying to bring most universities together, giving them the assignment, and then they now design, build, and then try to launch the satellites. Like when we learned that India was able to launch about 143 satellites or thereabout, if you look at it, these are small satellites that at least they are nano satellites that will serve the nation.
Which area specifically are Nigerians benefiting?
I think the first thing we thought about is knowledge. That, and then the heritage of saying we already have this knowledge and we're building on it, because the program was kind of something that was spun off by the university in Kyushu, and we now said, okay, can we benefit from it? They accepted. We said, okay, we want hands-on instead of the normal theoretical learning. So there is that knowledge that is there, and I can tell you, anytime we want to build nano satellite, it's on the go. Yeah, we can easily roll out nano satellites because of that experience. Yes.
Okay, let's look at the capacity of what we can do as a nation. I know the Center for Atmospheric Research is a center under the agency that is focused on development and research. Now, if we're looking at building capacity in terms of infrastructural capabilities of what we can do when we're looking at space technology, what about for the scientists, human capital development also? Because it's a two-way thing. You improve your infrastructural ability, you also will be thinking of human capital development. How do you marry the two in ensuring that there's a balance? And what has been done?
Okay, thank you so much. If you look at it, like the Center for Atmospheric Research is basically more of a scientific research, and then we have a lot of capacity building ongoing. We have related with so many universities. We even have universities, even now as I'm talking to, we have somebody who came from Ethiopia, and someone who came from Kenya just left last month. Okay. We have people who are coming in because of the viability, but the center is not known because it's mostly research-based. We also have facilities like NICAP that is trying to look at the weather. It's a way to pick some weather parameters and this. And I think even 2 months back with the University of Maiduguri, we tried to have clean air measurement to know what is the air, what is the parameter, and what is the pollution in the air. So most of these are science-based. That's why people don't even know, because what they get to know about is probably when there are products from it, and then when there are warnings from it. So that center is doing a lot in the area of atmospheric studies, and now they are even going into instrumentation, At times, certain things people go out of this country to buy instruments or to buy equipment they are using. That center is trying to build equipment. That center is trying to look at balloon, to test balloon and to see what it is. You will be surprised that some of our scientists are trying to work on the issue of balloon testing, what the rabbit will look like when it's flying, and then that will now impact on man because of the weight and so on. Now, if you move man from here, we talk about pressure. A lot of people just get into contact with pressure when they enter plane, and they tell them that when the pressure drop, this is what you need. They don't even know how it influences their lungs, how they breathe. It is only when you go to these centers. What we are not able to do is simulations, and simulations require so much money.
Yeah.
And Nigeria is not yet at it to say, let's put money in that. And that's why we keep saying that for science, technology and innovation, putting us under the normal budgetary allocation where we every day go with our plates, our caps in hand to say we need this budget will not work. What you do and what you do in other countries, there should be a kind of fund, there should be a kind of percentage from here to here, those who are benefiting from science. And then they will now have reasons to call us to account, because we say we want this percentage from this, we want 3% of research funds, we want 3% from petroleum funds, we want 3%. All these funds, when you put together, if you look at it, technology drives everything nowadays.
Yes.
And it's like everybody is benefiting from this technology.
You know, it's good you mentioned budget for the space technology.
Yes.
I know for 2021 fiscal year budget allocation, there's a 54% increase compared to last year. If you're not going to be relying basically on the budget, what about generating funds? You talked about products that could be generated, that could be created by the space technology. Why are you not looking at harnessing those other aspects to generate funds?
Okay, it's easy. It's because people look at the figures.
Okay.
And I keep saying people look at the figures, what goes into population. To national space research. National space research is still working on infrastructure. If you come to the space agency and look at our arena, we need more laboratories. This is where researches will be carried out. It is this product. If you check NASA, there are a lot of spin-offs. We said, put money in areas where we have spin-offs. Put money in research. Now, if you remove the infrastructural money, you see that the money given to research is so minute. Engineering does not come cheap. It doesn't come easy.
Of course.
Researches don't yield results easily. You don't carry out research. If researches were something that you go into, it's not like going into the kitchen. You go into the research, just in a month, it's out. There are a lot of things that you have to underline. Now, lacking the laboratories, it's one big issue. Then lacking the equipment in this laboratory is another issue. I can give you an instance with AITDC, because when you opened up this session, you started with a lot of questions. When are we going to launch on our own soils? What are we doing? What is the budget? Rocketry project is not a small project that requires just 5 million, 10 million. Now, again, we have AITDC, which has been there for over 10 years. We are trying to develop our assembly integration testing for the last 10 years. Now, if we go by what the president directed, that no project should be left uncompleted, we have this project. And what is it looking for? It's looking for billions and billions of naira. People see the billions, they don't see the infrastructure. Now, if you have AITDC, definitely AITDC is supposed to standardize all engineering manufacturing, engineering outputs. And it is only when they are standardized that you can enter to foreign market. As long as they don't have the standards you produce them, even Nigerians will not buy it. So we have engineers in Nigeria that will use these facilities, which is not a facility for the space agency alone. Now, this is a place we keep saying we want to build our own satellite. For the last 12, 15 years, this place is not ready, not even a clean room. The only place that is ready is the design center. Now, if the design center is not even completed, you are going to talk about this mega billion asset.
Yes.
Then build it and then get people to do it. Now, from this AITDC, we have a lot of spin-offs that the research has already been carried out. It's the development aspect of it that you need to. It's when you get to this development aspect that you invite public to come and invest in it, and then leave them to continue to develop it. If you have interface with the public, they give you feedback what the public is in need of, because you invested your money and we made something for you and you are using that thing. You come back and say, look, you add this to this, and then we go into research and make sure that we're accruing. And Nigeria will have a lot of products. So the AITDC goes beyond satellite designs alone. It goes even into other engineering feats. If you want to deal with engineering, the military grade engineering and so on, you need assembly, integration and testing room. Now, apart from that, we also have issues of the ground station. The ground stations require upgrading. And this upgrading is after every 2-3 years. You also have cases of cyber security. You have to block it. You have to have people at any given time, because the warfare now is more a technological warfare.
Yes.
And anybody can stop what you are doing there. So you have to make sure that that firewall keeps on. You keep upgrading it. Now you talk about human capital and capacity building. The capacity building, we are grateful to the presidency. They gave us waiver and we can send our engineers everywhere to go and study, but you require the capital. So it's like, okay, it's given, but where is the capital to drive it? So these are pockets of problems that we are facing. Now, talking about other means of generating funds, you need a satellite that is alive, healthy, and also develop the capacity of people who are going to use this satellite. We are lucky our satellite is 11 years. 12 years in orbit. It was designed for 7 years, but it's 11 years in orbit. This is an engineering feat, and it's still there, and it's still useful. So now, what we are doing in essence, because when you talk about satellite, you spend so many years trying to get people educated, trying to get people to know. We have now constituted ourselves more of service support. We made it a special purpose vehicle to support Ministry of Health, Education, support environment, water resources, and like you said, for sustainable development, to also support sustainable development goals of Nigeria.
What about investments? What is the interest for the international community in our space technology? Are they readily available? Are you looking at private sector coming in?
We are looking at private sector coming in, and I think we've had several meetings with private sectors. If you look at the space industry, you need so much capital to even invest in the activities of space industry. Now, there must be a kind of liberalization. There must be credit facilities, if you look at what most of them are thinking about. And what are these credit facilities? You need people to get loan from the bank to invest and then watch it grow. This must be available. Now, visibility studies.
Yeah.
A lot of people are not into it to even understand what visibility studies are in it. So a lot of people are supposed to come in and see. But most people prefer going into areas of spin-off. Like just the meeting I had this morning, we have people who came into our space incubation center, and what they are looking at is what they can do. We have some American companies coming to talk to us because they saw the viability and they've seen what they can do. And they're already talking about what they can do with the space agency in that area. We have people who are interested in putting sensors all over the country so that at least we will get scientific data. And they are also interested in coming to Nigeria. In this, we have to create a lot of interface together. So basically, these are areas of investment we are thinking about. We want the public to come in, but the public need to be secured. There should be insurance in this area. So these are the big issues.
All right, my question for you will be, let's look at looking inwards.
Yes.
At a point in time, your establishment dwelt so much on telemedicine, which is an income generation aspect.
Yes.
Where are we?
Okay. We started with telemedicine. We even won an award in 2007. There was this Tiger Award, which was for Africa. And we were the first to start it in Africa. first thing we did was to liaise with Federal Ministry of Health, because that's where the mandate is. We spoke with Ministry of Health, and then for those who have been watching events in Nigeria, passing by, they will see that we left the telemedicine vehicle at the secretariat for some years. Then we now had to retrieve it. During COVID, we reactivated that because you are trying to see that you avoid people going to the hospital because of the COVID, and then you don't want them to have interface, and you want them to get medical attention where they were. And then we spoke with some medical doctors, some universities outside Nigeria, and the whole idea was, okay, Nigerians will be at home, because it was meant for rural areas, but now Nigerians can be at home. From where they are, they can have access to nothing less than 6 doctors. These 6 doctors will sit in their countries and look at what we are doing. So now what we did, we are now trying to privatize it. Okay. We now have to call a private sector, we call it Factorial, Atlantic Factorial, and now they have
indigenous?
Yes, it's indigenous. And Atlantic Factorial is talking to doctors to see how they key in. The doctors will make extra money no matter how small, and then the Nigerians will have access to not only their private or their doctor or their hospitals. Nigeria will have other people other medical experts who are looking, even outside Nigeria, who will be looking at their cases, and they will make suggestions and agree, and then give them medical advice and even give them medical attentions.
Okay, recently you met with President Muhammadu Buhari.
Yes.
He talked about reviewing the national space policy.
Yeah.
Is your policy or our policy up to date?
Well, I think there are 2 things here. There is a policy that we have where we have to review, and then there is roadmap.
Okay.
Now, he was so particular about the roadmap, because we've been having roadmap and we have been shifting our roadmaps. We will have 30-year roadmaps, and we say we are going to put man in space by 2018. By 2023, the man is not in space. Then we say we are going to launch synthetic aperture radar by 2020. By 2020, we don't have the synthetic aperture radar. And now what he said is, come up with what is visible, because we were too ambitious. We were too ambitious because we are comparing ourselves with other developed countries. And we are looking at our capacity. We are looking inward, the capacity of our engineers, what we can do. Now, there is other capacity that is needed, the financial muscles.
Okay.
Now, the financial muscles was projected, this is what we are going to do. But if you have a dwindling economy, if you look at the recession we went in and the rest, whatever plan you have to go back to the drawing board and say, how do I fit my budget, my projection, my dream into these fluctuations? And he said, okay, go and review the roadmap. When you review the roadmap, it should be represented. Review your policy too, so that you see how you can get money outside government. Now, this we have done internally. Now we are calling people together so that they come and see what we are talking about roadmap, because a lot of people are stakeholders. Let's agree on what the roadmap, because the roadmap is for Nigeria, not for the space agency alone. Okay. And then the case of the policy now, everywhere you go in the world, space science and technology is a strategic asset, not something you say, go and bring revenue. It's a research agency, if you look at it. This is a strategic asset, just like you have in the hospitals, you have ambulance. Even if the doctors don't have car, there must be ambulance. So this is a strategic asset. You use when you need it. You also use because there is a need. Looking at the size of Nigeria, over getting to 1,000 kilometers, if you said you are going to buy satellite images anytime you need it, the same money you are going to use to buy the satellite images is enough to build a satellite for you.
Okay, so why don't we look at how we can harness the advantage of what you're saying? Now, according to you, you have described satellite technology as the chronicle of the Earth that has the ability, to collate complex data.
Yes.
And if we put a spotlight on border-related security challenges, aside other security challenges. Now, you're of the opinion that there is need for utilization and deployment of satellite, capabilities that could be used to tackle some of this crisis we're having. What is the agency doing in that regard?
Okay, we are working with the people with the mandate, but now what we keep saying these days is the reason why you see the last meeting we had was more on border management.
Yes.
Border management goes beyond border security. If you are putting so much money in border security without the border management, it's like you are trying to feed the cancer. Feeding the cancer in the sense that border management goes beyond border security. Border security is just an aspect of border management. Now, and I still remember, I was in a place where we had a lecture, and then I still remember the first theater commander, if I'm not mistaken, was now the CDS, the Chief of Defense Staff. And in that lecture he said, ungoverned spaces. Now, when people don't feel like they are part of Nigeria, Cameroon, or Chad, when you don't have schools there, when the governors are not talking together to see how they manage this, then you are foiling the Boko Haram, because you have people, that's where they where they recruit forces from.
Yes.
They don't believe they belong to, they don't believe they have any sovereignty, they don't believe they should be loyal to anyone. Now, we are talking about border management, which goes to identifying what are the activities, which the satellite will give you information about. What are the activities happening at the border? How are they changing? What are the new routes? What is new? What is happening at the border? Now you need that kind of information at any, not only once, continuously, so that you build good knowledge, because we are living in knowledge economy.
Yes.
You build good knowledge about the border. What do they need? How is their agriculture changing? How is their economy changing? All these things. Now, if you look at it, the whole this is where we say small arms are coming into. This is where you say drugs are coming into.
Because they are porous.
Because they are porous.
Yes.
Now, for anybody that was at the meeting we had, you discover that they said if you put all the immigration officers in line, they cannot cover 36 kilometers. And we're talking about thousands of kilometers. Now, you need to also identify if anything is springing up, what is the terrain? Because you must have terrain analysis in case you want to go in there and assist them. So what we are always talking about is we should go into border management more than border security.
Have that been in line? Is that in line rather now? Is that in place?
Well, that is what we are soliciting for, because what we see more...
What is required?
What is required is, if you give me the room to say it, I see a situation where you have something like a border commission. Border commission that brings in both security and brings in all what you need, and then talks to all the governors at the border, and then you see something happening where you have what is enough. And I said border commission because, one, if you put an immigration officer at the border, he's doing immigration, the military is doing its own thing. And you need somebody that coordinates the activities of this, so that you have one report, you have one purpose, and you have one drive. This thing is driving you. Now, for me, I see that you need something. Because we have National Boundary Commission, we have immigration, we have civil defense, we have drug law. All of them are at the border. So we have all the laws all at the border. But again, who is dealing with the education of the people who are there? You are leaving it to the government, and these people say we have not had the government. We've not felt anything from the government, for example. So, but if you have something, border commission will say, this is going to be our program for the next few years, and everybody will move towards that, and then the borders will be better places to be.
Okay, you said you've been working with key players or other partners with the mandates. Do we have a reconnaissance center now where this information can be gathered and you just project one information, a single information?
Thank you very much. If you look at it, when I came into office the last 3 months, I started the idea of national Reconnaissance Center.
Okay.
The National Reconnaissance Center is to now bring in all the security, because it's supposed to be something that a facility for the security. Nigeria has just few satellites, but because we're a space agency, we can have access at more liberal way, access to about 300 other satellites. Okay. Because the satellites are not only dealing with communication and images, we are bringing in also meteorological satellite. We bring in satellites that deal with sensor. We bring in the satellite that deals with signal waves. We bring in analytics. From the analytics, now you have everybody there. And what the National Reconnaissance Center is supposed to do is to have the representatives of the police, representatives of the DSS, the military. You also have civil defense and the rest. And now all we do is we integrate the whole data and now show them the red spots. And now they use their intelligence to acquire whatever information and then deal with the mandate. Now we have a portal where we are sharing the same information. So we've been advocating, and that's what we are pushing for now, to have National Reconnaissance Center for all these security forces.
Does this has anything to do with Grid 3?
The Grid 3 is only going to add some layers,
okay, because
Grid 3 is already ongoing. And we thank the government of, we thank President Muhammad Buhari, because after the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation pulled out, they were able to give us resources to continue it. And we've developed layers. We have developed layers upon layers, which we already have. Now, since we have these layers, which is more like National Geographic, NGDI, that is the geodata infrastructure. Now we are mounting this, and the border is part of it. We are going to boundaries, ward boundaries. We are delineating the ward boundaries so that you know the wards. Now, instead of dealing with the whole state, you are dealing with a small ward, and you know what they need. So you are zeroing into the problem of each ward and dealing with the wards for their development needs. So you are now going down to the grassroots instead of just dealing with it and say, oh, I'm passing this to the states. Okay. Yes.
Okay, now I know the vision is to play a strategic role when we're talking space science and technology, like be a driving force and an engine if we're looking at economic growth. This whole science thing, coming from the layman's perspective, how much awareness has been done? Because for that person who doesn't understand the benefits derivable from space science and technology will still not believe in the growth of the space technology in Nigeria. Yes. What is the agency doing to expand the scope, make people understand that there is so much yet to be harnessed?
Thank you very much, and I'm happy you are asking this question. I will give you a scenario. If I were to go to defend any budget, and I said I need 200 million, I need 100 million for media and communication, the question is, you are a scientist, what are you doing in this area? But people don't get to know that these things brush on one another. And I know this because when I was in a National Emergency Management Agency, I remember then the President, Jonathan, visited, and I was in a lab with him. And he said, how much are you doing telling people? Because we put money for media to say what the government is doing. The people want to know what government is doing. And the only way people will get to know what government is doing is when you put money for advocacy, for media and publicity. Now, one of our trust is that, but you don't get, because you are there fighting for, you are looking for money to build satellite, to build AITDC, to do this, and then they will tell you are looking for too much. Then you are looking for money for media and publicity. If you look at the case of NASA now, they have their television. And if you don't do that, you don't get the right thing. And I thank my honorable minister and both the Minister of States, because the minister has been talking about science and technology television for quite too long. We didn't have that. Until you are able to have that, that's when you translate science, technology and innovation into a common man's language. Because who are the people doing these assignments when you send your children to school? It's the mothers.
Yes.
If the mother's language, if they start science, technology and innovation, we have it in these three languages. The children will not be afraid of maths, physics, and chemistry any longer because they know what it means. The names are the ones that are scaring them. So where we're saying, if we have science, technology, and innovation television, and you have space television, and then you have space program, people will get to know how much they are doing. Because an ordinary man does not even know that the handset he's using is from space. The internet he's using is from space. A lot of things he's doing are from space. Today you have a lot of things that are moved, like data due to internet, and then you have RF,
Radio frequency.
radio frequency and so on. They don't know it's coming from space. But it's only when you have things like this, and you have budget for the media, and you have a good studio where people come in. Let a common man ask me, what can I do with space? And I tell you, this is what you can do. The way we can influence agriculture, I can tell you we are going to change the space of agriculture in few years. That I can assure you. The environment too will be better. The states will be able to generate revenue because we will be able to give them a very high resolution imagery so that you know that what is the size of the land, what is the value of structure in it, and then how much you are charging from it, who is using what facility so that you'll be able to plan. Then you'll also be able to do simulation in the areas of security, and you'll be able to look at it in case of emergency. What do I do? I give you an example with Area 10. Area 10 has all the facilities it needs in case there is emergency. If you look at it, the military setup is close to Area 10.
Yes.
You have fire service close to Area 10. You have police close to Area 10. You have
CID.
hospital. You have CID. All these things are close to Area 10. But if they don't have simulation and they are not working together, the purpose will be lost.
Yes.
So the space now brings everybody on the same platform. And say, this is what you have. In case of this, where do you run to? In case of this, who do you call?
So let's begin to nip the problem in the bud. Let's start from the foundation. I know part of your mandate, you're of the opinion of introducing astronomy into the curriculum at all levels of our educational system. I know a lot of young minds who want to, nurture their dreams in space science. But if we're not having it streamlined, it's not going to work. And we see dreams just, thwarted. What is your thought?
My thought is as good as yours, because we keep saying, how do we enhance science, technology, and innovation in Nigeria? And the young minds, if they are not caught when they were at young, if they
will never love it.
And I know that we develop curriculum. Our institution in Ife worked on curriculum, how they can build this science, space science, because you have to be particular about what you are doing so that you are not taking anybody's mandate. We have developed that curriculum. We are also working in the area of astronomy so that we get them from secondary school so that they are able to appreciate what it is, and at least get the young minds so that in the night or in the night when they come out and they see any star, they are able to identify that this is this star and this is what we are expecting. So this we are doing, and we said if we don't get these things from scratch, we will end up not getting it at all, because you don't learn to, the Igbo proverb said, you don't learn to use your right hands at 50, the left hand at 50. So the young minds have to be caught from when they are children, and then they pick interest. What a lot of people don't see, a lot of things go into astronomy. There are a lot of benefits in astronomy. So that's what we are trying to bring to the table. Let them see the benefits first. Okay. Before they now build into it. If you don't create that awareness and you don't bring the young minds to identify that there are benefits in astronomy, a lot of people will say, I remember a young man was telling me, why will I read astronomy? Just to look at the stars and see this is what it is. Until I sat down with him and I said, no, it's not about reading, looking at the stars and say this is what it is. I said, do you know even the Babalawas are looking at the stars and telling people lies and they are making money from it? Exactly. And then he said, how? I said, well, there are a lot of things in the star, and a lot of people are talking, this is what we expect this month, this is what we expect next month. And if these things are not telling, then something must be wrong. What is wrong? Yes. And there are a lot of calculations there. You see a lot of, there you develop your calculative mind, you develop your mathematics in this, and then you become another calculus. So all these things are very important for the young minds, which we feel they are not in our curriculum, not anywhere in our curriculum. I don't know, except when you go to the university. So we're saying let it start from secondary school. Let them learn some basics.
Even primary school.
Primary school, because we have that. Let them learn some basics, appreciate it. It's when you occupy the mind, when you have fast growing minds and they are not occupied, they will use it for a different thing.
Yes.
So we want them to be occupied, and then let them also, because you will teach a child this is where to go. Tomorrow he will teach you a different thing from it because of experience.
Yes.
So these are key things we are hoping the nation will be able to pick from us.
Okay, Adebola.
Yeah, all these requests or projection still has to do with funding.
Yes.
Do you think there is a political will?
I can tell you there is a political will. I can tell you because you know, for so many years these days, since we don't have National Space Council all the time, and I can tell you the president accepted to be part of it.
Wow.
What is even why you see the will is we were given 1 hour to interact with the president. Wow. The president added 1 hour to it. And this is I think for the first time for me, I feel that is the body language to show you the interest he has in this, because you can't waste the president time, and then when you are giving 1 hour, you must make sure that you squeeze all your program within that 1 hour. But he was the one that lifted the bar, and he still had another program, because from our meeting he was going for another meeting, but he still sat there and still increased it. He was the one that, because he was the chairman, he was the one that kept increasing the time. So that is showing the interest. And recently, my talk with members of assembly, the senators, the House of Reps, was marvelous. I told myself, I said, then what were we complaining about all this while? Because they all have interest in it. The Minister of Finance, because the grade 3 is under finance, yes. And I know how she fought to make sure that we have enough resources to continue with grade 3. And then even after, because she is a member of the council, even after that she said, oh, we want to support your program, and then let's see how we can sit down and see that the space agency is funded, because everybody identified that it's not a normal budgetary allocation where you are thinking about billions. I can't come to you and say I want billions this year, then after 4 years, because the satellite is built to last 4 years, I want more money. You start asking, why will I give you more money? So we have all this, all the ministers that were members of the Space Council. Frankly, I felt so glad that they were in support of space program, and that is showing you that is the political will, because these are the people that take decisions for this country. The National Assembly is so. The Senate President, for one, me and Senate President passed through the same course. The same first degree, we did the first degree in the same area.
Wow. We
did masters in the same area, we did PhD in the same area. So if we say we shouldn't be talking about budget and crying, we have about 3 giants in the Senate. We have Professor Boroface, we have the Senate President, we have Deputy Senate President. So, but I am sure because their hands are tight, these are people who take decisions. They are looking at gamut of things that require funds. You imagine health is looking for funds, education is looking for funds. If you don't take time, you even forget that, okay, my first constituency is also in need of those funds. And then we have to kind of find something that is live for the same people.
Okay.
Yes.
Dr. Shaba, Moon mission. I know Nigeria has plans for moon mission. I know why Adebola is laughing, because it seemed impossible, but it's not possible. How do you intend to implement that?
The moon mission, I am somebody who is always optimistic.
Okay.
Optimistic about things, and I can tell you.
Just on a lighter note,
yes.
Who is to go?
Who is to go to the moon?
Yes.
Our scientists are to go to the moon.
Okay.
Our scientists are to go to the International Space Station. Recently, we have developed what we now have created the Department of Physical and Life Sciences, because what happened in space station is research. So the Physical and Life Sciences will even take medical researches to the space station. Now, talking about going to the moon, we are going to, that's why we have astronomy and the rest. They are the people that will go. All these things they've been hearing about the moon, they will land in the moon. I don't believe it is impossible. Okay. I only believe it's a bit difficult for now. Yes, and I believe now that we have set our minds on it, Nigerians will get there. We don't want to be left behind.
Okay. Where will you like to see the space agency in the next 3 years?
The place I want to see it, if I am to use one word, I want to see it competing with India, because India has gone far. I want to see us competing with India. Despite the numerous population, despite the myriad of their population, they are able to put budget into it, and they are gaining from it, agricultural-wise, trade-wise, engineering-wise, they are gaining from it, even in medicine. So it is our hope that we will be able to compete favorably with India. And that is to say that in all these facets, all they are doing, even in the launching of satellite, just like you said that we have a launch pad, nobody has ever launched at the equator. We want Nigeria to be the first to launch satellite at the equator. We are at the equator. So everybody is using far away. This is the shortest. We are saying we have a shortest path. But we are now studying what are the trajectory and what will make it a success. And we'll invite people to come and see how we can launch it.
I love your optimism spirit.
Thank you so much.
We're rounding off.
Thank you.
So how would you assess our astronauts from your point of view as we round this off?
Okay.
If some of these missions must be successful.
Okay, I think a lot of Nigerians have forgotten that in 2007, 8, or 9, thereabout, Nigeria was able to send a schoolgirl to go for astronaut training. Wow. And we showed the picture everywhere, and it was successful, and she was one of the best. So when it comes to brain practice and the rest, I bet you Nigeria will be one of the best.
Yes.
The issue now is commitment. That's just the issue. So, and for you to train as astronauts, you need so much money. We are talking about close to, I think, 3 billion to train Naira? One astronaut. Yes, Naira, because of the exchange rate and the rest. So you need about that. Now, when do you get that funds is what matters. But I can tell you, okay, we are found to be the best.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Halilu Ahmed Shaba. Thank you for your time on platform. We wish you the best, and we want to see our space technology grow.
Thank you so much, and we will grow with you.
All right, indeed.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Adebola Brooks-Lynn Sunday, our NTA correspondent. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, for the past 50 minutes and more, we've been looking at advancing Nigeria's space technology, the issues, and filling up those gaps. And the whole goal, is to be in tandem with best global practices, where we see our space science and technology thrive, economic benefit, and the rest. That's Platform. I'm Ruth Aguele. Bye.
Thank you so much.